Hi guys, it's Cheri. How are you all today? And I'm doing wonderful. Well, it looks like a kind of a bright day today. I think we're due for some thunderstorms, but anyway, any day that we're alive and are loved, then we are doing well. So anyway, I just wanted to get on and talk a little bit about some things. Um, I've really, in my life, I've really searched, I think my whole entire life, through religion to find God. I've always asked God, what religion is the truth? Where should I go? What church should I attend? What doctrine should I adhere to and believe in? It's just been in the last, I'd say maybe 2 years, that I've really had an awakening to all of that. I am not knocking religion, and a lot of people think that I am anti-religion, anti-church. They all have their place in our evolvement, um, from being ego to being spirit, or ego to being spiritual. All of these things have their place. Without the journey through all the different religions that I've researched and that I've been a part of, I could not have evolved to this state that I'm in. Um, each each step is an enlightened state. Okay, even if someone is caught up in religion and is caught up in all the churchianity things, it's still a state of enlightenment. It gets us to where we really need to be. It leads us to one place. It leads us to know that we are the children of the light, and that light is what gives us all life. It is the life within us. And that we are begotten of it. When you go back to Genesis and read, in the beginning, there was light. There was the light. That light was what manifested from the Father. It was the only begotten of the Father. The light was the Son, the Christ. I'm not talking Jesus. I'm talking the Christ, which means the anointed. This very light in the beginning, if you notice, it was around and existed before the sun and the moon was ever created. Where did it come from? It manifests from God, from the source of all life. And this was the Christ, this light, and it burst. They talk about the Big Bang. Well, it burst, and it burst into trillions and trillions and trillions of pieces. And each of those pieces became living souls. This is how we were begotten. We like to think of ourselves in the flesh. Our mother and father begot us, but they just begot the vessel, okay? What our truly begotten, or who we are truly begotten of, is of the light, the Christ. That's our true father and mother. That's our true parents. And we honor that light in us because we are the light. The flesh is just a vessel. It's a vessel for our enlightenment. It's a vessel for our journey. It's a vessel. It's a tool. It is a test. It is a trial. See, I don't know any other way to explain it. And I know a lot of people really, if I say Jesus is not the Christ, Jesus, they say I'm blaspheme. And you know what? Jesus actually was the Christ. Just as we are the Christ. We have that light, the same light that Jesus had. Only in those days, the people's light was put to sleep by their egos. It's the only thing that can put our light in us to sleep, is when we go our own way. See, the ego is our own way. I'm sorry about that. My video cut out. I'm back now. But the ego was the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. It was the forbidden fruit. We went the way of the ego. Now, I've done videos explaining everything in the past about how we were from the beginning. We were around. We are the Ancient of Days. We were around in the beginning. We were begotten of that one eternal light, the Christ. And we've been in the beginning of all creation. Not our flesh selves, not me, Cheri, but my eternal soul, which is who I truly am, and who you truly are, is your eternal soul inside, that come from the light, that was begotten of the light. Our flesh was not begotten of the light. Our eternal soul, what was begotten of the light. So we are. We've been around since the very beginning. Since the Big Bang, since the light that was manifesting of God exploded to give life. And we too can give that same light, because that light is inside of us. So we can give that same life. And how can we do that? By loving one another. By living by the fruits of the Spirit, letting the fruits of the Spirit rule in our lives. How do we do that? It's so hard. We're human beings. We're lowly human beings. We're sinners. We're people who just don't deserve grace. And that's just a bunch of baloney. Religion tells you that. Don't listen to that. We're not lowly sinners. We are the begotten children of the light, which is the Christ. That's who we are. That is pretty spectacular. Now, what is sin? Sin is when we live by the ego. What is perfect? Perfect is when we live. We put the old man down and we live by the fruits of the Spirit instead of the fruit of the ego. See, in the garden was 2 trees. This is just a story to tell about the struggle of humanity, okay? The 2 trees is ego and soul. And the ego represents, the tree of knowledge of good and evil represents the ego. It's what we really needed. How do I explain it? We are fractals of that light. That means we are the children of the light. We had an urge to experience not just the small light that was inside of us, but all the other light. And so, when we were created, this was a wonderful world where we lived according to the soul, to the Spirit. to that light that had begotten us. And then something happened that we wanted to experience separateness. And I don't know what happened, but we separated ourselves from the light, from one another. And that's when our ego came into play. We are all one. There's no separateness. The only separateness that there is what we do. We separate ourselves from one another. We separate ourselves from the source of life, which is the Christ. The ego does this. And this is what caused us to die. I don't mean die in the flesh. It caused our souls, the light in us, to experience death. The ego did. The ego caused this. Christ is still within. Jesus came. Jesus was born into this world as a vessel for the Christ, who was to be perfect. Now, what is perfect? Living by the fruits of the Spirit. And totally abolishing the ego. Totally getting rid of that ego. And Jesus lived perfectly, right? That's what perfect means. And, we can do that. Jesus showed us that we can do it. We are the same begotten. We are the same. Begotten of the light. And so we too can be perfect. And people say, well, we are not perfect as long as we're in the flesh. Our flesh ego idea of perfect is not the same as the spiritual idea of perfect, what Jesus described as perfect, as living by the fruits of the Spirit. We're to strive for that. And we're all on different journeys. We're all on the same journey, but we take different paths. And so we're on different levels in our journeys. None higher than another. There is no higher existence or lower existence. We're all parallel, right? We're all of our journeys are parallel to one another, or our paths, okay? None higher than the other. So there is no higher consciousness. We're all conscious. But some understand consciously that who we really and truly are is not the ego. It's not this flesh body, but it's our soul. We have two selves. We have our flesh body, which is the vessel for the soul. And then we have the soul, which is who we truly are. It's the begotten of the light. It is who we really and truly are. And I wish that more people would understand and realize that we are not who we are in this flesh. I'm not Cheri, you're not you. What we are and who we are is within. And my soul loves your soul, and your soul loves mine. And the ego is what separates us. Our souls are connected because we're all little bits of pieces. We're all children, siblings of the light. Right? We're all siblings in the light. We are truly brothers and sisters. And so if you're having an argument with someone, right? It's your ego going against their ego. But really, truly, your soul loves that soul, and that soul loves your soul. And at the end of the day, It's all about love. And we're trying to bring the inner man who loves everyone and who loves themselves and who loves God to the forefront and have that inner man manifesting through this outer man, right? That's what we're trying to do. That's what becoming awakened means. I'm awakened to who I am. But the hard part is manifesting that inner man that I know is in there through the flesh. It's really hard to do. And my journey is not one that, at least the path that I'm on right now, is not a path of perfection, okay? Because I have trouble with it. But I'm learning. I'm learning on my path to that perfection of living by the fruits of the Spirit. Okay? We all are. And yes, there are people in this world who are there. They are demonstrating the perfect fruits of the Spirit. And they've killed the old man and allowing the inner man to come out. You know, it says we must die of ourselves. That's die of the ego, kill the ego, die of the ego. Okay, we must die of ourselves and be raised new in Christ. Okay, it's not really talking about death here. It's talking about putting the ego down and allowing the inner man, the Christ in us, that light, to manifest all these fruits of the Spirit. Because the soul will manifest the fruits of the Spirit. Who we truly are, that's what we are. We are the fruits of the Spirit. We don't know how to demonstrate anything else. It's the ego that dictates the other. Anything other than the fruits of the Spirit, it's the ego dictating it. Nowhere does it say that when we argue with someone about anything, or when we're upset with someone, that's a part of the fruits of the Spirit. That's part of the ego. Fruit of the ego. It's a poisonous fruit. It kills us. It kills the soul. It doesn't kill it, but it deadens it. So see, Adam and Eve, let's say Adam and Eve, they weren't real people, but Adam and Eve were told, this is just stories, parables, were told not to eat of that fruit or they would die. That's exactly what eating the fruit of the ego does. It puts the spirit to death. Okay, so, and in order to resurrect that spirit, we have to put the old man down. We have to get rid of that forbidden fruit in our lives, the fruit of the ego. And we have to manifest the fruit of the Spirit. And how do we do that? We have a change in our minds, not our brains, our minds. And this brings about a transformation in our heart. And I've said this before, the perfect story is the story of Ebenezer Scrooge. And if you don't know the story, read it, watch it. And there's several movies about it, several books. Read it. It's the story of the evolvement of a soul from ego to spirit. That's the journey we're all on. And let's just be patient with each other. You know, we're all at varying levels, none higher than the other. We're all parallel. We're all equal. We're all one. Our journeys are equal because we've all been through what our brother is going through. They've been through what we've went through and what we're going through. There is purpose in this world. There is a plan to it all, all this madness. And the purpose is so that we can learn again what love is. And I truly believe that there is going to be a shift Christians call it a rapture, and that's completely indoctrinated. There will be, and also New Agers have indoctrination about it. There is going to be a shift in consciousness when we all realize who we are. And it will happen because Jesus even told us that one day every knee would bow and every tongue would confess that Christ is master of our hearts. And that is the light that emanated from God from the beginning. And that's who we are. And so I believe there will be a shift. I don't know when it will be. That could be thousands of years from now. But there will be a shift. We're pretty, there, it could be tomorrow. I don't know. But there will be a shift in consciousness in everyone. And I believe it's going to change where we are in our reality. Right now, there is a change happening. And I know because it's happening in me. And if it could happen in someone as religious as I was, it can happen in everyone, and it will. So I see the change in me. I've seen the change in my sweet husband. He was just ego, just like me. Over the last 10 years, I just see a man who, especially in the last year, who's been completely transformed into a new person. If you only knew if you've only seen what I've seen. Now he's just the sweetest, most patient and forgiving and loving guy you could ever meet. But that wasn't the case 10 years ago. We've struggled together in our journey with one another. We've really learned from each other. And we have made the other one in some way better. Because I see him, and I see him in all his awesomeness, and he's not even trying to be perfect. He's just displaying it. He's displaying the perfection of the fruits of the Spirit. And that's overtaking the ego in him to where I don't see much ego. And that's what happens to all of us. Eventually, the more we manifest the light, the more tired, the more worn down we're going to make that ego, man. And so then eventually the fruits of the Spirit are what's going to be being displayed. And I've seen that in my husband. I mean, he and I have really had struggles. And in this last year, something has just really happened to him. Really, it's just a complete change. He's had a change in thought, and it's transformed his heart. And he's just the sweetest, most kindest, gentlest man and loving that I've known. And I try to, I want that, I want to be like him. And he says he wants to be like me. And so it makes us strive more and more to want that ego to die, so that we can display those fruits of the Spirit to one another. And then eventually, and then that ends up where we are displaying those same fruits of the Spirit with others and in this world. And that's the light that we shine here. Jesus said, don't put your light in a closet. Let it shine. Put it on a hill. And let it be a beacon, a lighthouse for others. And I think that's what we do with one another. Like, example with me and my husband. I put my light on a hill, and he's drawn to that light. He puts his light on the hill, and I'm drawn to that light. And this is what we do to one another. We put our light on the hill, and others will come. You build it, they will come, just like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you shine it, they will come. Because light attracts light. So it's like a magnet. Light attracts light. It really does. So anyway, my point is that we need to understand that no matter where we are in our journey, that we're all on the same journey. And we've all experienced religiosity, most of us, at some point. I mean, even atheism really is a religion, you know, when it comes down to it, it really is. It's a belief. And they believe wholeheartedly that there's no God, right? So that's a belief, right? And it's beliefs and labels that bind us. And we get really hung up on that with one another. And that really makes us separate. And what causes belief systems? Our ego. Because we know our belief system is right. And their belief system is wrong. And we'll fight about it. And we'll hurt one another. And we'll judge one another. And we'll just cause all kinds of bad things. And we separate each other from one another. We can't allow the separation. We are all one. The lie is that we're separate. That's the lie that the ego tells us. But we are actually all one. And it's unity that we need. It's coming together, soul to soul, light to light, being a beacon on the hill for the others. All right, I think I'm getting off here. I've been on for quite a while. I'm going to have to put these two videos together because my first video kind of cut out on me. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I always enjoy talking with you all. I don't know who and all listens to my videos or watches them, but I really appreciate you for doing so. I'm just wanting to share things that have been revealed to me with all of you. And you don't have to agree with me. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I just want you to hear me, listen to me, and share what's been revealed to you, you know? And I don't have to I don't have to agree with you either, but I am going to love you. And I just ask for everyone to be patient with one another. Don't argue. Love one another. Forgive one another. Forgiveness is just one of those manifestations of divine love. So it's important. All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you for listening. I hope this blesses someone out there today. God bless you. Bye.